Hello guys, I'm Hermine from the POS and IoT expertise team, and today I'm here with Mohamed, our POS and IoT PO,
Hello.
to present you with the POS release highlights, so version 18.1, 18.2 and 18.3. So that's going to be the planning for the day. So let's get into it and start immediately. So the releases for 18.1 are the following. So we have a new UX and a new design for the POS. We also have a new way of loading master data into the point of sale. We have some improvements for the ZPN labels, new access rights, and some presets that we're going to present to you after. So I'm going to let Mohamed present you the new UX and the design of the point of sale.
So I will immediately start with the new point of sale. As you can see, some new buttons have appeared on the floor plan. Some buttons have changed places. For instance, the floor are in the middle. On the right, you will find here a quick table selector. And on the left, you have a new button for new orders. The goal of this whole new improvement was to change the way we took the orders. So in the past, user had to open the table, take the order, and then send it to the kitchen. This may seem very simplistic, but comparing to what we have noticed in the fast food industry and the speed at which they need the orders to be taken, we thought that it would be smarter for them to just start with a new order. And as you can see, I'm in direct sale system. As from there, I can just immediately add the items to the cart, go immediately to the payment, or if I need to set a table, I can just do it here on click by not leaving this screen. Or I can just set a tab, just like the previous floating order we had. For instance, I can put an order on Hermine's name, for instance. So we just set a table. I'm asked to enter a table number, so I will just say table 1, very easy, and then assign it. As you can see, the direct sales has changed to table 1. This improves the speed at which the orders can be taken. Plus, in this mode, you can see that I'm looping immediately on the floor plan if I click on order. On the other hand, we've made a setting in the backend that allows the user to decide on which default screen they want to loop. Some users would like to see the floor plan always. Some other would like to always loop on the product screen for speed purpose, and they don't need to check the floor plan, for instance. And I would like also to add a detail, which is very interesting, which is finally, we integrated the dark mode into the POS. So this was, I think, my favorite features in 18.1.
Perfect, thank you. I think it's much cleaner like that,
Yeah,
so it's really
it
nice to have that. Perfect. So let's move to the next topics. So we have also improved the loading of the master data. So previously we would actually load all master data and of course models to do a sale offline at each new session. Today this has changed. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to load it on the initial load. So the very first session you are going to open, and the next time the data is going to be in the browser, in the cache, and it's going to be much faster. So the performance has really improved here.
Yeah, indeed. If I can interrupt, it was made for the big retail industries where they have maybe like, let's say, tens of POS to open at 9 a.m. We've noticed that if they all open the session at the same time, some POS faced some crashes. So just like Hermine said, now that everything is saved in the cache, it means that only the initial loading will take time. But as from there, as long as you don't change your data in the backend, it should just take a few seconds since everything is already loaded in the browser.
Exactly, and of course it's going to update products that you have changed, that you have updated, so this is going to be done the next time, but the initial load is going to be found. The next load is going to be much faster. So how does it work? Maybe we can show you that. So of course you are going to load products, contacts, and all the needed models, as long, of course, as for the products, you need them to be available into the POS in order to be loaded, of course, into the front end. So this is going to happen. We're going to load 5,000 products and 100 contacts.
But this can be edited.
And this can be edited. Maybe we can actually show how you can edit that. Of course, if you add a bigger number of products that you load, the performance might be negatively impacted.
So be aware that every change you made has, of course, certain consequences.
So to change that number, what you can actually do, you need to be in debug mode for that. You can go into the system parameters, and there you can search for the load key. No, maybe
just search for the
product. And here you can see we have a point of sale limited product count. So here it's 5,000, but of course you can increase the number or decrease it according to your needs. And we have the same actually for the partners as well. Let's go ahead. Maybe it's contact.
Just look for POS, point of sale.
Yes, so here you actually have both. So customer count and product count. Okay. Perfect. So once you've done that, it's going to load the number of products and contacts that you have defined. And you're going to open the POS front-end, which is going to allow you to work offline if you have a network interruption. And all the data is going to be stored in your browser. So of course, you need to make sure to not clear the cache, otherwise you will have an issue. And so the POS will remain operational for the basic features. Okay, so basic sale. So you have some functions for which you still need to have a network connection. So for instance, of course, loading data on demand, like real-time loading, if you create a new one in the backend. Importing products SOs into the POS, you still need a connection as well. Generating invoices, of course, the stock synchronization, all of that.
Just keep in mind that whenever you need to ping the backend through the server, you cannot.
Exactly. So that's the improvement here. So it's going to be much faster if you have a few products. Good. So the next thing that we also improved is that we introduced 4 new ZPL labels. And for that, of course, you just need to go on a product. So let's go ahead, open the product. So let's say that we want to print the labels. And when you choose ZPL, you will see that we have here the 4 templates from which you can choose. So the normal size, small, alternative, and of course for jewelry shops. So that's it for that. We also have introduced a new access rights, so minimal rights, if you have a student, for instance, working in a shop. So the idea is to really limit the functions to a very basic sale. So he's not going to be able to do any opening control, closing the session, cash out. You have the list here that I just added. Just remember, it's a basic sale that we're going to do. And this setting, of course, you can find here in the point of sale. You can go into the settings, and here you see the employees that are allowed to log in. So we have the advanced rights, the basic rights, and here the new one, introduce the minimal rights. And then we have the presets. So the presets is a quite exciting feature. It's very complete. You can do a lot of things with it, a lot of workarounds as well that you can manage. So what can we do? So I'm just going to dig in directly into the point of sale. So in the configuration menu, you have a new menu here, presets. So you will see that by default, we already create the dine-in, takeaway, takeout, and delivery one. And let's go ahead and look at a few configurations. So what you can see is that you could associate a price list and actually a fiscal position as well, if for dine-in the taxes need to change, for instance. You can also manage orders by time. I'm going to show that maybe in the takeaway it's going to be much more intuitive. And you also have a preparation capacity. You also have the possibility to identify the customer. Now for dine-in, you don't really need. It's the standard setup. So here it's just like that, it can stay. And of course, you can also choose if you need to use that preset in the self-ordering or not. So let's go ahead and take maybe our takeout. So here you can see that we added a fiscal position, which is going to change the taxes when you do the takeout of the takeout order, basically. And here you also have orders that you can manage by time. You can also add a schedule. So here we just added a specific one. And so you can adapt when your restaurant shop is actually open or closed and when you are able to take orders, basically.
If I may, what does exactly mean to have this preparation capacity? Is to make sure that for restaurant owners, you know that you cannot make more than 5 meals every 20 minutes. It helps actually to manage the whole order flow, coming online or inside the restaurant. Exactly. It allows you to ensure that the kitchen does not get overwhelmed by huge amount of order they have to prepare. And it also, since it's available on the shelf, when user will order online, they will also have to select a slot. And if a slot is not available, they are invited to select the next one. This also gives them an idea of when my order is going to be ready.
And we're going to see it in action in just a few seconds, but let me just finish with that. So here we have the name identification. So you still need to take the name of the customer to complete the order. Of course, you want to know who took the takeout. And then we have delivery. It's a bit the same, but here we just added the address as an identification. Of course, you need to know where you need to deliver. So we won't speak much more about that. Let's go and take a look into the point of sale. But just before, if you take a look in the configurations, you can set up a default preset and of course set up which ones are available in the point of sale.
As many as you want.
As many as you want. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I'm going to open my POS here. And we're going to take a first order. So here you can see by default we have the dine-in, but of course you can change that. Let's say it's takeout this time. And here you see the different schedules that we define basically with the opening hours. And we also have the capacity, like Mohamed said, that is going to be taken into account if we choose the same slot various times.
Exactly.
Okay. So here, let's say we're going to order for the 26th and we will choose, let's say at 2. And of course, we will need to identify.
You haven't been asked actually to select the name because as you can see, the table is table 2. So we consider that this is the identifier of the order. If you go back to the floor plan, you click on new order, then you will be required the name.
Indeed. Let's do it again. And here you can see indeed we can enter the name. So let's say we add Mohamed. And here indeed you can take the date and the slot, let's say 2:20. And that's it. So when you go back to the other orders here, you can see that we have the takeout. So you can even filter on them. See the takeout here for Mohamed, the one for Hermine, and the hours that you have chosen as well. And here, like Mohamed said, it was table 2 indeed. We also have the connection with the preparation display where you can send the orders directly there. And it will start, it will show when you will need to start preparing basically. Exactly. So that's really, really nice. So that's a takeout, and maybe let's go ahead and take a look. Now, if we go here, it's going to appear.
You need to order it first.
Yes, indeed. So we need to order first. Let's go.
Just double click on it. Voilà.
Okay, and then indeed.
I would like a Schweppes and a Mai Tai, please.
You would like a Schweppes, okay. And some pasta, and the Schweppes is just here. Okay, so let's go ahead indeed and order. And so you will see the link with the preparation display. Of course, it's not going to show right now, but it's going to come when you need to prepare it.
The reason why you don't see it actually, here, as you can see on the left, we have introduced a bunch of new filters. Since now that you can have orders for the futures, you may not want to see the orders for tomorrow because you need just 20 minutes to prepare it. So during the day, what we will do is just ensure that your orders appear as soon as the last slot is finished. If you know that you need 20 minutes to prepare a meal, you will know 20 minutes before that you have this meal to prepare. It will ensure the clients to have always a hot meal, and you ensure that the flow in the kitchen is totally manageable.
Okay, so let's go ahead and maybe see how you can manage a delivery. So I'm maybe not going to choose a table, but a new order. And here you can choose the delivery. And of course, you will need to be able to choose a customer with a complete address, otherwise it's not going to work. So here we have, for the delivery, I'm going to order some plates, and we can indeed...
you can directly go to the payment.
We can do the payment indeed for this flow, and this way you are going to see, so indeed...
So this is a confirmation. As you can see, Hermine did not order it before. So now we just show a warning telling you that don't forget these items need to be sent to the kitchen. If you click on order,
so we can
then the request is sent to the kitchen. And as you can see, I have the receipt with the address on the top of the
That's really nice because so the waiters, if they forget, they can just be reminded.
The challenge we had was 2 cases. Some clients needed to make sure that every item goes to the kitchen, and some others didn't need it. But they configured the product as to be sent to the kitchen. In order to offer them the best as we could, we just provided a check in between the validation of the order to ensure that you have full control of what is sent or not sent to the kitchen.
Perfect. So now if I come here into my to cook, you can see indeed we have the delivery of Hermine that of course can be just managed. So you can just click on the different plates that you're cooking that are ready. And of course, when you're done, it's going to come in the completed stage and you can complete it, put put it in done once it's
But what does that mean also to have these presets with the ability to set orders for the future? It also means that if you now close your preparation screen, it means that the order will still appear the next day, compared to what we had in the past, where when you closed the preparation display, all the orders were erased. So now you can really use this screen as a tool for preparations, and to the team that maybe works at nights or maybe early in the mornings, they can see everything delayed without the need of the waiter to send it at this time.
That's really nice. And here we have actually the order for the takeout that's planned on the 26th.
Exactly.
At 2:20, but it's not fun. We don't need to do it yet, but at least we have
Exactly.
everything here, so that's really, really nice. And for today, you have nothing left. If you go back to all, there you can see all the takeouts that are planned for the next days.
Exactly.
So it's a really, really nice improvement and quite easy to manage as well. I don't know if you want to add something about this feature. It's, I think, complete. Very good. So we've seen how the presets work. Of course, you could use it as well in the retail industry if you want to take orders, for later days. So it's quite flexible to use in many different ways. So let's take a look at the 18.2 releases. So what we did here is you will be able to reprint the last kitchen receipt.
Mm-hmm.
So basically you have if I'm going here, maybe I need to order first. But what you can see is that you have a small button here where you can click on it, and then it's just going to reprint the ticket in the kitchen.
But it will print the last ticket that you sent, not the whole orders. It means that if I now add an item and I send it, if I go back to this table and I click on the reprint ticket, only the cheeseburger will be printed again. And on the ticket itself, you will see a duplicata mentioned to make sure that the kitchen team do not make the meal twice.
That's actually very good. Perfect. Good. So the last ticket printing, that's quite self-explanatory. And then we have the new concept of courses. That's actually really nice. So let's go ahead and just take a look at what we can do. So if we go and take, let's say, table 4, you can click here on courses and you would take all the courses for the stories, for instance. So here, let's start with a lunch temaki, and then you can create a second course, and then you could have the pizza margarita, for instance, and a last one. Let's hit again course 3. And we don't have any desserts, but anyway, we can take a bacon burger, let's say.
If you're very hungry.
Okay, so here you can see we have course 1, course 2, and course 3, and the link with the prep display is done as well.
Exactly,
so
and the ticket also.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and take a look in the preparation display. We're going to order. So what you can see here is we have for table 2, we have course 1 that needs to be cooked. We have course 2, which is in pending mode, and we have course 3 in pending as well.
Exactly.
So here we can actually start with course 3, and then the waiter can actually say when we can fire course 2. So let's say that we are actually preparing course 1. Let's get back in our point of sale, move to table 4, and here you can see you have the button fire course 2, which can be you can just click it. And if you come back into the preparation display, you can now see the status is to cook without the pending anymore.
Exactly. Plus you had a toaster notification appearing plus a sound. This makes sure that you do not lose any info coming from the room. That's
perfect as well. So let's finish the flow. Let's go back to table 4 and fire course 3. And that's basically the end of the mail. And now you can see the last course that we need to prepare. And like we said, we have the link as well with a receipt printer, with a kitchen printer. That's a really, really nice feature for bars and restaurants.
I think for a restaurant, we've reached a goal where in terms of feature, I can say that we have, I think, enough features to cover most of our user use cases. And now it's mainly focusing on UX, detail, speed, and performance, because we can consider that now the tool is quite ready for all of you guys.
Perfect. So global invoice, that was also something that was very asked that we added as well. So it can be used both in restaurants and in the retail industry, doesn't really matter. Let's maybe go in the back end and take a look at the furniture shop here. So the idea here is that you would create orders, and at the end of the month you would create a global invoice basically for all the orders that you have created within the month. So let's go ahead and create some orders here. So let's say that the customer will be Hermine. Let's go ahead and pay. We can pay actually with the customer account, but maybe I'm going to do that just after. I'm not going to invoice the customer here, of course, as we want a global invoice. And let's go ahead and do a second sale with the same customer, of course, pay by cash and validate. So what you will be able to see now, if we go into the backend, you will be able to find, of course, the order of Hermine. You can maybe filter by customer. That would be the most easy to do. And here you can see, indeed, we have a few sales for Hermine. But let's take just the two last ones that we did. And as you can see, there are two invoices. We didn't create an invoice here for those orders. So what you can just do is click on the Create Invoices button. Of course, it's going to ask if you want to consolidate them. That's the whole point here of the feature. We're going to create an invoice. And here you can see the different products from the POS orders are all added into the invoice in one global invoice. And of course, the link with the accounting is done automatically. So you have the reversal of the POS orders and the creation of the new entries from the invoice journal.
This flow is actually ideal for B2B industry. If they make a few purchases a day or a week, they can just make sure that they can make all the purchases, put everything on a customer account. At the end of the month, you send a global invoice, and then the vendor or the client pays the whole, and then you just reconcile it, and everything is done, just like that.
So here we pay the orders. That's why the invoice is directly paid. But let's go ahead and see how we can pay some orders at the end of the month as well. So here we have done some improvements as well. So I'm going to hit again the button, and let's go ahead and create some orders. Maybe let's take you this time. So I don't know if you're as a customer. No, let's create Mohamed. Okay. And we're going to create a second. So here I'm going to pay with the customer account. I'm not going to create an invoice, just to show you the other feature. And let's take again a few products. Mohamed, let's pay with the customer account. So now when I go on my customer, you can see that we have a total due amount here of 163 euros. And when you want to settle the orders, what has been improved is that you can actually choose which orders you would like to pay.
Exactly.
So you're not obliged to pay the whole amount. You can just choose, okay, I'm going to pay this or this order. Of course, you can pay them all if you want. And when you select them, you can pay by cash or by card and just validate. And of course, we're going to put this amount on the customer of Mohamed. And when we close the session, that's why we do that, because the entries are posted at the closing of the session. So you will see that now the amount on the customer account of Mohamed is completely balanced, as we have paid for the two orders. So I'm going on the orders back. I'm just going to go on the customer form of Mohamed. And here you can see we don't have any open amounts anymore. Maybe I can show it via the partner ledger, actually. And here you can see we have the two orders that we created from the point of sale here and the payment that's just occurred, which balances the account.
This flow has been displayed with POS orders. But if in the backend you just send invoices to your clients because you've made sales orders, etc., and you invoice them, and you want the client to come to your store to pay it, these features also allows you to select specific invoices to ensure that you can make the payment for them. So it just works both ways, actually.
That's also quite nice. It was much asked, especially in the retail industry.
Yeah, and finally we made it.
And we finally made it. Perfect. So that's it for the releases of 18.2. So let's go ahead and take a look at the releases of 18.3. So what do we have here? A new reporting added for the preparation order time management. Maybe you can actually show it.
Yes. So this feature goes linked with, for instance, the courses, because some restaurant owners wanted to know exactly how long does it take for an order to be taken and to be served. So what they needed to do is you just make orders from the restaurant, of course. And we have now this report, preparation time. And this report allows you to just play with time to see how long did it take for an order to be taken, then to be served to the table. This allows the user to make some metrics and to know where are the lacks that I'm facing in my restaurant. Maybe I take too much time to order, clients have to wait too much, maybe I'm too slow in the kitchen, etc., etc. So just like any other report in Odoo, you can play with it and get some very interesting metrics out of it.
Perfect. So let's maybe take a look at our combo here. So here you have improved the fact that you can just change the quantity basically on the combos. So let's go ahead and take a look in the database. So the combo is a really nice feature to help you manage basically menus. So you could have different products that compose the starters, different products that compose the main dishes and then the dessert. And you can manage the price at a global level if you just choose one of all these options. So let's go and take a combo order.
Take the sushi lunch combo, for instance.
The
one here
sushi
below.
lunch
Yes.
here.
This one
Perfect.
has 22 on top.
So here you can see the combo choices. You can choose one product from the combo
You can choose
choices.
2, actually, 3.
You have 3?
So for the sushi, as you can see, I have 1/2 free. It means that in my configuration in the backend, I'm telling the client you can choose 2 items from this section. This is all configurable from the backend. You can say that you have to choose minimum X item or not choose at all, like ideal for the extras, etc. So in this case, you can select, for instance, the lunch salmon plus the salmon and avocado, for instance, next to it, and the drinks.
And the drink. That's
and you
really
can, of
nice.
course, add the extra prices per quantity. What does that mean? It means that for the sushi, if I wanted, I could say, okay, you have 1 free, but all the extra you take have an extra price. So this can be managed very easily from the backend, where you just configure a combo just like you always did, but you just have 2 new fields that allows you to put a minimum quantity and a maximum quantity. And with that, you can particularly do whatever you want to do.
So let's go ahead and add it. And so that's it. I don't know if you want to...
It's just as easy as that. You can go
It's
to the
as
backend,
easy
maybe
and
show them.
Yeah, let's go ahead and see the configuration of the combo. So here we have the sushi combo. And here you have, yeah. So indeed the
And as
new
you can
options
see,
here.
I have the maximum 4 and 2 included. It means that the client could take up to 4 items, but if he takes 2, it's included in the price. If he takes more than 2, then the extra price get into the computation.
Perfect. That's really nice. And like we said, here the price of the combo is just managed here.
And I can give you a small tip also. If you go back on sushi, so ideal for menus in fast food, for instance, if you go to McDonald's or anything like that, they usually ask you to select a drink, a burger, a sauce, maybe it's optional, and a dessert. These items do not need to be selected, but if the client wants to take it, it's available. To do so, you will just play by just creating combo choices, like would you like a dessert? And instead of forcing the user to take, you can just say include equals 0, and maximum you put as much as you want. And the client will see on the screen he's facing a no thanks instead of add to the cart. So this is the kind of things you can do to play with it.
Perfect. So we have much more flexibility now with this combo feature actually. So the next one is for you as well. We have the self-ordering and kiosk. The design has changed, so maybe you can present the different changes.
So this is the view on desktop. As you will see, this view will be the same for the mobiles and the kiosk. We just ensure that, just like in the past, everything remains responsive. Of course, we have some balise, that will detect the size of the screen, but it just ensures that the layout remains very clean on every screen you look at. Here, as you can see, I can select the preset I would like. For instance, I would just take dine in, but it works the same if I do those. As you can see, I'm on mobile mode, and it's just the same. You can just play with it with responsiveness. It's already there. And if you just increase the size, as you will see, the display will just be adapted all the time. Everything has been done again. The flow remains quite the same, except that we introduced the preset. So it means that at the end of the order, the user can be invited to set up a time, an email address, a name, etc., to make sure it just works perfectly with the preset. If you go to the payments, here you can still decide or not which item you want to keep. You can just order him. Here, since I selected a dine-in preset, it just asks me for a table. I can just select table 7, just like that. And then your order is going to be prepared now. And last detail also, because this is a hidden feature. But if I go there, because we know Odoo, we love the purple color. But if you go to the general setting, and you change this color to, let's say, this green, like this, I hope it has been deployed. If I go here and click refresh, as you can see, now the color, it's all around green.
So not everybody needs to take or Odoo purple color.
Exactly. So now you can just have the clean green. You can also, if you want to go even further, by going here on the point of sale, you can even change the background picture. So ideal for your brand picture or your logo, for instance. And you can just like always put splash pictures that will be displayed as a diaporama. That was it.
Perfect. So yeah, indeed, we saw the changes here with the self-ordering and the kiosk. Let's move to the IoT improvements. And maybe just a small thing about the refunds that we added with Viva Wallet. So today you will be able to do a refund from a payment terminal, and it's merged already with Viva Wallet. We have other payment terminals that are following as well.
Yes. Like Stripe, it's ongoing, for instance.
Stripe is ongoing, and the rest is going to follow as well. And we have, for the bookings, the Kanban view has been added, basically. So I'm going to move to the IoT improvements, because there we have changed a lot. So what has happened? So we have a new image, the 2504. So here we have introduced the fact that the lights that you can see basically on the IoT, I'm going to show it just after, are going to tell you a bit more about the status of the connection. So if it's red, this means you have no internet connection. If it's blinking green, it means the internet is okay, but you have no DB that's associated with the IoT already. And if it's steady green, then both are actually fine. So if it's green, you know you're all set up. So the update of the Odoo code is going to happen on the boot as well, and not only when you connect the IoT to the database. That's a bit more technical. And we have a QR code available on the status screen. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, so the status screen was the screen you had when you boot an IoT and you plug a display into it. So you had this purple screen that gives you information about the IP address, the amount of device linked to it, etc. The problem was, from there, you had no idea about, okay, I plugged internet cable in it. Do I know if it's connected or not? So what we've done now on this screen, that we hope that you will never have to go to, of course, but if you go to that screen and you have no Ethernet cable, you will see QR codes appearing on the screen. It means that from your mobile, you can just select the network of the IoT that it will be generating. And once it's done, you can just connect your IoT to the Wi-Fi through your phone. So it works very easily. We won't show it here because we want to focus on the real improvement, which is being able to set up all of it from your Odoo database and not having to switch screen or to play with tickets, with pairing code, with the IP addresses, etc. This is the real game changer. And
we're going to show it just after. So indeed, the screen, you won't need it anymore. And that's why, indeed, we're not going to show that. So we also introduced some bug fixes and so some UI to better guide users to connect the IoT as well. So the steps are a bit more clear. So the next improvements that we have done is that previously you needed to have the IoT subscription line on your sub. Otherwise, the SSL certificate was not going to be generated. And that was a bit difficult because the flow was not really smooth. You had to call the commercial before adding the line. Then you could connect the IoT, which is a bit messy. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to connect, to give you an SSL certificate immediately. And it will be valid for 60 days. So basically you have 60 days to pay. And if you do, then everything will be okay. If not, of course, the SSL will be plugged at that point. But at least for configuring the IoT, it will be a smooth process.
It means that you receive your IoT box, you can directly plug it and use it on your Odoo database. No need to call your sales or your partner manager in order to make sure they add the line on the sales order to generate then the certificate.
So the next feature is what we're going to show you. So we're going to auto-connect the IoT. So the system is going to automatically detect that you have an IoT in the network, basically, and it's going to connect automatically to it. If you have more than one IoT, of course, you can choose which one you will need to connect, basically. And if no IoT is found, then this can be due to different
you have
reasons.
to check if you plug the cables right.
Exactly. But you will get a pairing code to connect the IoT manually. And we also introduce, as from 18.3, the fact that you can directly link a bus configuration to the IoT as well, which is also pretty nice. So I think we can just move to connecting the IoT.
Just show it.
So maybe you can show now the IoT. So what we have done here is that we have connected the IoT box, of course, to the Ethernet. So it's not via Wi-Fi, but anyways, you need a network for the IoT to work. And we also have powered the IoT. And of course, we have the SD card here with the latest image, so the 2504. So basically, that's it. And we can jump into the database and see how the system detects the IoT automatically. So I'm going to jump into my IoT app. I'm going to connect it. And now...
and as you can see, it immediately found it. Why? Because what happened at this time, we just pinging the server with our network. They just check all the devices that are on the same network. Since I have only one IoT here in the whole office being running actually, she's going to be detected automatically. If you have in your room 3 IoTs started at the same time, you will be shown a selection list, so you can link them one by one.
So here we see that it has associated the IoT, it has found it. It asks us also on which post we want to associate the IoT. So we can just continue. Let's say it's our clothes shops.
And just like that, everything is configured. Your IT box has the certificate, which means that if you have printers that are, of course, working with IoT, you can just immediately go to your POS, print a receipt, it will just work like that.
So maybe what is interesting to mention here is that if you click on the IoT, in the technical info you can find the IP of the IoT, which you might need to configure Worldline terminal, Ingenico terminals, or maybe other devices as well. Also to just go on the IoT homepage, which we are going to do. And you can see that the certificate has been generated here automatically.
Yes, and you can see the date of it actually, just here below here.
So here you have indeed the date, and you also have here the image of the IoT that we have flashed previously. We didn't do it during the webinar. But anyways, and if you go here on the homepage, now we're going to hit the IoT homepage where you get basically the information of the DB that is connected, the IP, the different devices that are recognized in the network that you can see here basically. We have a lot of printers in Louvain-la-Neuve, but basically it just recognizes the devices in the network or the devices directly plugged on the IoT. So I think that's
that was it for the IoT.
That's it for the webinar actually.
Also.
So those were the releases for 18.1, 18.2 and 18.3. And in a moment we're going to take your questions, guys. So just shoot.
So, welcome back. I will start with a question coming from LinkedIn. Besides using a Raspberry Pi, what is another hardware you advise to use locally that will store the data? I'm not sure I got your question, because on the IoT box we don't really store any data else than just the code of it and the drivers. So please, if you could just specify your question, I would be
Maybe
glad
we
to
can
answer it.
explain what the IoT does, basically. So it's an intermediary, basically, between Odoo and the devices to actually create a connection when the communication protocols are not native, okay? So if you have, for instance, a Word terminal, which has older communication protocols, we cannot just communicate it with Odoo. So we need the IoT with the drivers installed on it, basically. If you take, for instance, the Stripe terminals, which communicate with an API, this is a newer technology that we can communicate with, so we do not need the IoT. So depending on the hardware and the communication protocols, you might need this device, but like Mohamed said, it doesn't store any data basically on it.
Exactly. So if you have any question about it and you think that you need it, just feel free to just ask your partner manager or ask on the internet, because this is not always needed. And other hardware can be used just to replace actually this machine, so it will prevent you from paying a useless subscription for something you don't really need.
Exactly. So we have 3 applications for the IoT, I would say. Communication protocols that are not native. Of course, the R&D needs to have developed the integration, otherwise it's just useless. Second of all, automate the printing of some reports, invoices, product labels. You just match the report with a printer and it automatically prints. And the third one I would add is a plug and play configuration, like with a customer, the kiosk actually, that you can just very easily connect thanks to the IoT. So those are the 3 applications, but indeed we have more info on the online documentation that you can just check.
So next question from LinkedIn also. What hardware do you advise to use to register the order at the bar, and what hardware do you use to take the order at the table? Actually, you do whatever you want, to be honest. Some users, like in India, and that's why we just made sure it works for them, because these people have made incredible stuff. They just work with their mobile and internet connection. You don't need anything else than that. Plus, if you have integration with payments that just work with API, and then you have the NFC payments protocol, you can also just use your mobile to just put a card below and it just work, because more and more payment providers tend to develop now application for OSs. But this is the situation that can be used. If you want something else, if you want maybe a station, I would say that any station that could run a Chrome page to run Odoo is working fine. In the past, we had the challenge with Android machine that had double screens, because from the browser, you could not immediately click and send the customer display to the other screen. But now we've made a module in Odoo that detects if you are on Android, and if it is, Odoo just ensure that we just send it properly. You can also just take a Windows machine, and if you need, which I hope you don't, but you can even install the virtual IoT on it to just plug cables and make everything work out of the box. But of course, with all the technology today we have, it's happening more and more often that people do not need actually to use the IoT for that. So depending on your budget, the place you have, and what setup you want to have, you're quite free to choose whatever machine you want.
I would say if it's just to open Odoo, to take orders and send them to the kitchen, any device that can open
just
a web
mobile is
browser. Yeah, exactly. A web browser can actually work. So phone, a tablet, a computer.
The only thing I would say is a detail, because this is something we've been experiencing recently. We've noticed that on a Huawei machine, the browser was not running the way we were expecting it. So we've noticed that some customers were facing some issues. This may not be the case for everyone, of course, because it depends on the machine itself, its capacity, the version, etc., etc. But just stay with standard material you can find on any Samsung or Apple material that you can find online.
Okay, so we have a next question here. How do you print product labels in the POS? In the POS front end, so when we are here basically, let me just find my screen. From here, you cannot really print product labels. What we expect from the user is to go into the back end. So you would go on the product, and here you would actually print the labels. So you can print labels from here. You can print labels when you do a reception as well to get products in the inventory. You have various ways of printing labels, but we do that in the back end.
Next question from LinkedIn is, how is the refund made when the payment is made with customer account?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. So it's the same way as a sale, basically. Maybe I'm going to open the store clothes. So a refund would basically be a negative quantity. So here you have a negative quantity, which means the product is going to come back in your stock. You also have a negative payment. And here, indeed, you have various options. Or you could either generate a gift card on which you can charge the amount, or indeed, you can use even the e-wallet or the customer account to put this amount on the customer, okay, on the client account of the customer. So just select here the client, the customer account, and validate the order. And here you get the pop-up that asks if it's okay to charge this amount on the customer account of the client. And of course, you would say, okay, but you need to identify the client here. And let's say we charge it on you, Mohamed. So you would have this amount available to pay for an extra order.
Actually, the customer account may seem sometimes very complex to use, but you have to see it as just a bag. It could be seen just like an e-wallet, for instance, or just an account I put money on, and you can manage it in very different scenarios depending on your use. But this is a very useful tool. The order is just validated just like any other, and you make sure that in the backend you have track of everything, accounting-wise, stock-wise.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. It's really the big difference with the e-wallet. You have the follow-up in the accounting to know how much money you owe the customer or how much money the customer owes you. So that's really nice. And actually from here, from the customer, you can go on the client and say, let's say a client that doesn't have anything on it, you can actually deposit money as well. So you can just charge some credit and pay with it for the next orders. And you can see here that we have 24 euros that has been deposited on the account of Mohamed, but Hermine owes money to the company, basically.
So next question from Alexis Leduc. For self-post, how do you manage the lock screen to avoid customer to go outside of the web page by clicking on the address bar, exit menu, or etc.? This is a very interesting question, because on a lot of Android kiosk now you have what we call a kiosk mode. So you launch the app, it goes on kiosk, and you just ensure that when the user tries to play with it, like to close the tab or open the menu below, he cannot. We are still at the moment investigating in it because we did not made it for a web page yet. So if you've noticed, for the people that came to the Odoo experience or anything like that, you may have seen that it just worked. And the reason is we put an IoT box behind it. The IoT box gives us like full control on the screen. It's just a touch screen. So everything is running on the IoT itself, which ensures that if you buy these screens and you want to work with an IoT, you don't even need to take an OS on the machine. So this can reduce the price of the machine itself quite a lot. By experience, for instance, in the past, an Android machine, I would not say which brand, but was costing like 1,600 euro. By just removing the Android OS, we fell to 900 euro. We put the IoT box below, you plug the HDMI cable, you connect it to the Ethernet, and you can control actually your kiosk from your POS dashboard. You can just decide this one I want to open it, close it, etc., etc. So in this case, the IoT is very interesting tool to use.
Okay, so we have a next question. How much does the IoT box cost with the Odoo Enterprise license? So we have two versions of the IoT. We have the physical IoT box, which is the device that you can actually see here that we just showed you as well. This device actually costs 25 euros per month per IoT box. So that's that for the physical one. Then we have the virtual IoT box that only runs on Windows computers. So that's a constraint that you need to take into account. And the virtual IoT, we do not really recommend to use it in all setups. Okay, so that's also an important thing to take into account. We have actually, maybe I can show you here. Let me search for the IoT sheet that you should be able to find online. So if I open the sheet, we are going to check what is the best setup just here. So basically what we do recommend is to have one client that's connected basically with a printer or with a payment terminal, on which you have the virtual IoT that is running. Now, what we do not recommend is to have a second computer, communicating basically with the printers, with the payment terminals. What you would need to do in that case is have double the printers, for instance, so a second computer with the virtual IoT connected on it and a connected printer. That's the ideal setup that we recommend basically. So if you're in that case, either you do that, so what we show here, or you take the physical IoT and then it should work out of the box without an issue.
So next question from Naeem. Does the latest version update automatically or does it need to be done manually? Actually, if you're on the SaaS, you will be updated automatically. I think you do like 2 versions a year or something. Sometimes we just skip for some user because we just upgrade databases by batch. But don't worry, just online. Managed online and automatically. So if the update is ready for your database, you will be invited to test it. So you will see a message on your database. So you can do like testing before. If you have like specific studio fields, you want to make sure that did not disappear, because sometimes we remove and add fields from version to version. But at some point, if everything is right, your database will just switch automatically. You wake up a morning and just new. So don't worry about it. When we buy enterprise, do we get IoT with it?
That's actually something you need to specifically ask to your sales representative or your account manager. So the IoT is something extra that you need to ask for. But
if I understand the question differently, if you're on the SaaS and you pay your Odoo subscription, yes, you have access to the IoT app, just like any other app, actually. If this was your question, but for the rest, just Hermine said, contact the partner manager to get the best advices possible to see if you need it or not, and if you need, how to get it.
So indeed, the app is going to be free, but from the moment you will connect the database, you do need to have this IoT subscription to, have this SSL certificate at least 60 days after you have connected the IoT and to pay for it. So it's going to generate an upsell from the moment you have an IoT in this IoT app.
Question from Chunching Mac. Possible to make an actual app for Android, iOS instead of a web-based POS? Actually, for Android, it already exists. So we already have an Android app that you can just download in the, how is it called, the Play Store?
It's the Play Store or yeah, exactly.
And if you don't find it because your version is too old, you can always just download an APK online. It can also work. Maybe some stuff won't be working, but you have to check it actually. For the iOS part, we won't do it. Actually, it's not in our plan. Things might change in the future, but be aware that by using a web app, we have way much flexibility actually on the fixes, the speed at which the database are upgraded, the fixes that we deploy, they are deployed every Monday. This is all done automatically and very smoothly, thanks to the fact that we are a web app. So this has advantages and disadvantages, I can understand. But if your only concern is to have something that looks like an app, don't forget we also have the PWA downloadable from the POS directly. It just gives you an icon available in your dock. You can click on it, and as you can see, it's a window that looks like an app. It functions as an app, but it's a web page actually.
Exactly. I was going to say just use the PWA because it really feels like an application, and you have some limitations with the real applications that you might use when you use the IoT. So we would definitely recommend to use this PWA instead, and you can actually find it here in your POS applications. You can just add it here at the end of the screen, so you can just open the POS very easily.
And the last question I see is, how reliable is it to run Odoo on Windows on a local computer to connect a scale, ticket printer, and print labels for stores with a single register?
Yes, so actually the virtual IoT, so the Windows IoT, it's going to work with a receipt printer quite well. It's going to work with a label printer as well, as long as you have installed the printers previously on your computer. So that's the prerequisite that we don't have, of course, with the IoT box. Now, for scales, it's a bit complicated. It really depends on the operational system of your Windows computers. Either it's going to detect the scale, so only Medler Toledo scales, we're only integrated with Medler Toledo immediately, Or you might need to add, the libraries and stuff of the MATLAB Toledo scale. So I would say try it out. If it doesn't work, really go for the physical IoT. It's going to be much easier because all the drivers are already installed on it.
I can see that was it. Thank you for all of your questions.
So thank you guys for coming. I hope it was interesting, and yeah, see you the next time.
See you.